Oh, okay. No, let's start again. Get it on. Welcome back to the Phoenix Dragon Precision Coaching video cast with Steve Dragon Bale
and Liz Phoenix Gasson.
That's right. Hey, we're going to
That is correct.
We're going to talk about the weekend's event, which was the North Island Series 4 over in outside of Carterton, the Carrington circuit in the Wairarapa, in the rainy Wairarapa yesterday. We'll talk about some tactics that went on there. We'll talk about the awesomeness of our Team Pedal Project's result. We'll go over results and things and some data. And we'll ask questions from our commissaire and director sportif, Liz. We'll talk about the next event. And there's some interesting sort of tactical considerations and weather considerations that came out of this one.
Yeah. It was definitely an interesting, challenging race due to the weather on this one.
Yeah, sure was. There was also a gravel section. Well, let's get into it. We'll talk about all of that and more now. So, the race is here. North Island Series 4, brought to you by George Sandoval's Productions over in outside of Carterton here. So this circuit, pretty flat in general. You can't see. Here's an interesting thing about your Garmin's is that they rely on a change in air density, I guess, for knowing what the course profile is. So the course profile looks all messed up when it's cold and rainy, because I guess it messes up the little sensor or something like that. But anyway, what is the overall for me? The first 30 Ks up to where I got dropped. We were humming along at what are we there? Average power 258 watts, normalized 290, average cadence there. What was it popping along at? 99 RPM. I was really struggling. We were hopping along just above 40 kilometers an hour there with a course with a hill in it. So we were going along pretty good. The way it worked for me, before we talk about the considerations, was I was never going to be in great shape for this. So really what I needed to do was help our team leaders as much as possible. In this case, it's Jeremy Salmond and Jeremy Hooper, who are they're either leading in the group points overall or are very close to it. And really, the pace was on from the start. A lot of surging attacks like this series has always been. But in the second lap, there was a group went up the road consisting of 3 dudes, I think. One fell off, but Jack Polly and Thomas Berry were the dangerous riders there. I did notice that. I'd been hanging near the back because I'm not running too good. But we noticed that, and the Pedal Project guys have been really good at paying attention, noticing, and helping pull back brakes when they need to. So that's good. So there's me and the other guys, and we were taking turns to pull them back pretty good. We pulled back the group to within let's say 20 seconds or something like that, and managed to. And Jeremy Hooper fired off the front. Actually, Jeremy Salmond was already in that group, so Jeremy Hooper fired off the front. A little funny thing happened where my situational awareness must have been in the shitter a little bit, because I was about to pull to the front, do another turn to try to pull him back. I didn't realize Jeremy had actually bridged over. He's so strong and so fast. He bridged the gap in less time than it took for me to actually notice he'd done it. And one of the other guys from the team had to come and say, "No, dude, you don't need to work because he's over there." So at about the halfway point in the race, we had 2 out of 4 riders in the lead group. So Jack, Thomas, and our 2 Jeremys from Pedal Project. So that's a good position to be in. So it really meant, so from a tactical standpoint, well, what does that mean? It means that we, Pedal Project, can defend. We've got our leaders in the group we want. And Wheelworks can do the same. They didn't have to do too much. So, for example, one of the other Wheelworks riders is back in the bunch, didn't need to do too much. He made some attacks, but didn't need to do too much. And, it's mostly defensive. And then that means that the WCNI guys would have to do all the work. and I guess they didn't do enough or something, because the group kept going out about a minute per lap, which when you think about it, we weren't hanging around. That's a pretty mammoth effort from the group off the front. In the end, they stayed, and I jumped into the car for the last lap, watched from the back. They stayed out, and I think Jeremy Hooper opened up the sprint from a wee way, so I think they said, I could be getting this wrong, and was so strong, he just took it all the way to the line. Jack Polly coming in second, Jeremy Sam in third, and Thomas Berry in fourth, after a pretty long, hard race in the rain. Temperatures were pretty low. Let's have a look here. We got averaging about 12, 13 degrees, so that's pretty scummy. So they did really, really well. So that's what happened. That's what my job was. That's what I did. Let's all actually quickly go through results here. And for the other grades, so I told you the results in our group. It looked like, just on 3 minutes on the line there. See me DNFing, and Jeremy Rowe didn't start. George hasn't put out all the results for the actual points yet, so we'll find that out in the next day or so. In Category 3, Graham Turnbull from Rob Kilwington and Bertie McGuigan. Shout out to Logan Mulcahy, one of our coach riders. Look at that, coming in, but right in the sprint there, right at the head of the sprint. Yeah.
And beating Chris Jenner.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, that's a pretty good scalp. So Chris Jenner, in case you don't know it, is an ex-professional rider who has just started back up in his kind of middle age, I guess, riding and racing a bit around Wellington. He's lived in New Caledonia for a long time, rode for a French team called Credit Agricole in the early 2000s, and has the very unusual honour of being a stage winner of the Tour de France, not on his own, but as part of the Credit Agricole team in 2001. I can't remember what stage it is, the team time trial. And, that's pretty heavy going, because that stuff's sledding, because you're riding against US Postal in their prime, you're riding against Onte in their time, and Ten Telecom with Ulrich, so it's pretty good. It's not like it was an off year or anything like that. That's killing it. They had Jens Voigt back then. He still keeps in touch with a lot of those guys. Backstep. Stuart O'Grady, Australian, who's multiple stage winner. So that's great to see. And by the way, I mean, look at it down here as well. Oliver Ferry, who's had a crazy good year. Anthony Norder, who's always good. I mean, that's some pretty big scalps. So impressive there. Give us the results for the.
Hang on, go back to Category 4.
Category 3. That's category.
This one here.
Yeah, that's Category 3. That's the tail end of that field.
Oh, I was gonna say. Sorry.
So some good names.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a wee bit unfortunate. I'll mention this, and I'll call out Ya Tut. That's that guy there, number 88, finishing 4 minutes behind. Poor dude. Now, this is not making a mockery of the man. He came through on the second lap and thought it was the last lap, and had an almighty sprint to take out the sprint prem, shall we say, for the second lap. Unfortunately, it wasn't the final lap, so he had to keep going, which sucks. Dude, you are not the first to have been there. You should not be the last. And you're having a great season, and you will continue to have a great season. So good for you.
What happened to Paul?
Paul Wrigley. Yeah, I don't know.
Super nice guy, and yeah.
Sorry to see him do anything. I think he's okay. I talked to him. I think he just had enough.
Yeah.
Give us the results of Cat 4, Phoenix.
Simon Butler came first.
I thought in the results they said Graham Hall came first, actually, because Graham Hall's usually a badass sprint. He may have that wrong, but maybe not. It was pretty close, so it could.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at the timing. There's literally nothing in it. There's three guys that were pretty much neck and neck. How would you tell? Because there was no cameras on the line.
Yeah, there was. There was. And the
camera?
timing chip will have the tenths and hundreds. It's just not published here, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
But you got, look at that, it's cool, showing out Shane Collett taking a well-earned 7th, and it looks like he was in that front group.
With only a second, really, between them.
Yeah.
Not even.
I mean, it's probably a couple of tenths or whatever.
Tenth of a second.
But so all together, but Shane Collett, the owner of the Pedal Project team, thanks, Shane. Good job.
And hang on, go back. We've got one of the only females
Oh yeah, look at that.
riding. Brittany Dykes coming in at 13th.
Solid. Brittany, only 11 seconds down.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So hey, as we were talking about, so we had a little interlude there, but we're back to it, and we're talking about your standpoint of watching this race from the team car. Maybe questions you've got from a director sportif standpoint. Give me your thoughts and your feelings.
Oh, my feelings. Well, it was quite comfortable in the car. My feelings were quite nice. It was quite comfortable and warm.
It's a nice Audi, that one.
It is. It's a very nice Audi. I'd like to say it's mine. So just putting it out there from now on. But no, in all seriousness, the race, surprisingly, we've had, over the last few years, we've had quite a few accidents on that course. There's been, there's a particularly hard part at the beginning. And this time they decided to neutralize it because it's quite a steep hill going up and then a very steep hill dropping back down again with quite a sharp two right-hand turns. But the one right at the bottom, people often take at a very fast rate and skid out. And we were... the team managers meeting in the commissaires right before the race started spent a lot of time talking about potential concerns, especially around some of the more dangerous aspects of this race. And that was one of them, coming down off this hill and making that last right-hand turn, just because there is a lot of loose gravel and things like that. And so what we decided to do was make it neutral, had a neutralized start, up the hill, down the hill, and to the first right-hand corner, and then right about maybe 100 meters after that right-hand corner, away you went. How did you find that corner? I mean, obviously you had a practice run when it was neutralized, but for during the actual race, how did it feel coming down there off speed, especially when it's wet and there is loose gravel? And
I do have something funny to say about that. Glenn's wife was driving the lead car, doing the normally. What's her name?
Kirsten. She's awesome.
Kirsten's awesome. And but she did wildly overestimate the speed at which we should do the neutral section, so she sort of took off. And we all kind of looked at each other and we just decided, we'll just neutralize it ourselves. We'll ride it like 30, 35. And then she looked in her rear view, I guess, at like about a minute into it and was like, oh, oops, and then came back to us and it was fine. But I take it as a compliment that we thought we could ride like 60k an hour from the gun. That was awesome.
I think from the judgment before you guys went, I think we were actually aiming at 25k's for neutral.
Yeah, it was a little smidge higher than that. That's fine. Perfect.
Yeah, 60's a little fast. I think, you know what, you guys impress us sometimes. You know, there was a good point there, which I think there was that really deep sort of gravelly section, and there's a lot of rivets or corrugations in the corrugations in the ground. And you guys, we were also going, they're going to drop down to, sort of below 20 kilometers an hour. And no, you guys at one point you were just chugging along there like 40, 45. 47 k's an hour.
Yeah. It actually doesn't really help. You just go. No, but and actually, I've got to just very quickly. I've got to add this because it was mortifying to me at the time, but now it's a good example of how something mortifying happens to you. I don't know, a couple of years pass, and then you can laugh about it. There's a good lesson in that, by the way. I once did what Yar did and thought I'd won a race, and had not, and there was still a lap to go. Was that what happened? Oh no, I think there was some riders up the road and I didn't realise they got up the road or something. That was in the Wellington Crit Champs as it was like about 20 years ago. And then so that was mortifying. And then I was the lead car for the Masters Club Round the Lake race. I don't know, this is about 10 years ago. And I'm directionally challenged, so why I was the lead car is confusing to me. And I just rolled out of the side road that we were all starting on. It just went completely the wrong way down the road. It just took a left and it was supposed to be a right, and I was like, oh shit. And then I realized, because I could see all the riders, they were like going, what's that guy doing? And then they just took the right way. Then I had to do a U-E and then drove past all of the riders. Oh, Jesus Christ, it was embarrassing. So we've all been there. But,
Do you have to buy everyone drinks afterwards?
I should have. I need to be punished. But as it was, I had my window down. I think it was a warm day, and people were like going, "Oh, nice driving, Steve," or something like that. And I was kidding. I got thoroughly punished. It was awesome. No, but
Well, I can tell you were punished enough. So, I will be at the end of the season for the North Island Team Series. I will be dishing out fines. I've got a list already being compiled, and now that you've just unfortunately elaborated on that mistake, I will be putting that down.
Well, honesty is my policy. But
But anyway, how did you guys find that right-hand corner after there was so much discussion about it?
It was fine, actually. Though I noticed, I think there'd been enough rain that it had washed off a lot of stuff on the road, so it was actually reasonably grippy. No, none of that was a problem. People took it pretty sensibly anyway, so...
There was that's good. There was no real crashes that we could hear on the radios and things like that. I know there was quite a few people who DNF'd and took sag wagons back. There was quite a few calls that once races were finished, because obviously Category A or Category 2 had a lot further to go. But there was a lot of calls saying, look, there's still riders out in the field that have DNF'd. Can people go and pick them up, please? So there wasn't anything really massive from, like I said, from a safety standpoint. There was a couple of concerns. There was a bridge that had accumulated quite a lot of water, and that was getting quite slippery. At some points, there were some calls on the radio about that. Did you find any?
Here's an interesting thing that happens with that, is that oftentimes you're in a race, especially when you're in bad shape like I am, and you're just literally looking at the arse of the guy in front of you and eating stem. You don't see anything. You can't see because there's all these guys up in front of you. You're just drafting. So you're totally at the mercy of people pointing stuff out or not hitting a pothole or something. There's nothing you can do. And so when I remember that big puddle, and I was like, I don't know, I had my head up the arse of one of the WC and my guys, and I suddenly, like, I don't know, up to my axle in water. It was really, but there's nothing you can do. You just keep on moving.
So actually, that comes to a really interesting point. When you're in a peloton like that, and you are just, very, very close to the other people in front of you, and you can't see anything else around you. You have to trust the people around you to be doing a good job. How do you gain that trust? Because, I've been in so many crashes, and I know that I'm in a different category than you are, and it comes with its own challenges. But in a category like what you're riding in, how do you build up trust when you don't know the guys around you? So say when we're racing, for example, overseas, and you're in a group of people you've never met before. How do you feel confident they will point out these things?
You have a level of confidence because if they're generally good riders, like they're fit and strong, not always, but generally they will be good with that because they're fit and strong, because they've been riding for a long time in general. So they've built this sort of knowledge up. And you can pretty quickly, like really quickly, get a sense for who dangerous riders are in the bunch and distance yourself from them or try not to be on the wheel, things like that. It very sort of happens. That's the beauty people don't realize about riding upper grades, is that the riding, is safer. It really is. Even when you're going faster, it's everyone looks out for each other pretty good. No one does anything unnecessarily dangerous. No one's got any notion of doing that. And people are pretty good bike handlers and pretty able. Like when you're strong and fit, that actually it means that it's safer for you. I'll exclude myself from that at the moment, because you've got more energy to expend on doing things like looking up the road and pointing stuff out and all that. So they're generally safer riders.
Yeah.
So that's nice. The speed isn't really so important as long as everyone's looking out for each other. And there's sort of like what happens is, I've had this policy in road racing ever since I started, which is try to be liked. I'm sure not everyone likes me, and that's fine. They don't have to. They probably don't. I don't know of anyone that really despises me that much. There's probably the odd one. But the point is I try to make it so that I don't do anything to make myself that guy. Because you never know when you're going to need not even a help and a breakaway or anything like that. It's not like that. It's just like, it might be like just someone's a little bit more willing to let you into a gap or something like that. And all that stuff actually adds to safety. And so when you're in a group, sometimes you're falling back and you need a space, and you'll sometimes point I don't know if they do that, and you'll get in your peripheral view sometime where you can't fit in that gap. Let's say you're coming and it's a bit of a head or a crosswind and you're in the gutter and the group is stretched out and it's single file. Well, sometimes what can happen if you've done a group turn on the front, you'll find yourself as a big long line of riders. They're all on each other and you can't get in there and get in the draft. So you're going back, can't get in the draft. You don't really want to get on the back. Usually after a few wheels, it opens up a little bit and you find a spot that looks bit open enough and you can point down to it, and the good guys know that means, I'm going to go into that, and so they just make space for you and it's all fine. But I feel like if you're kind of a douche and people didn't like you, and there are people who are remain nameless in this race yesterday that have been known to be mouthy and don't seem to be so mouthy anymore actually, that you kind of might go, I'm not letting you into that gap, and kind of let them go back another few places because they wanted to get lippy. It really goes into that thing where people get a bit of adrenaline and they get excited and they kind of, I don't know if they become different people. Maybe it's like when you get a few beers into someone, they don't become always a worse person or anything. They just become more of who they are. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's the same thing with the adrenaline. It's just another hormone or, a biochemical stimulator or stimulus to you. What do? You just become maybe more of who you are, and the mask slips off a little bit. And I hope that when I get, maybe I've been doing it so long that maybe my nice mask stays on pretty good, but I don't really feel like there's anything to be gained from yelling or being mouthy or anything like that. And I'm not riding good enough to warrant it at the moment anyway, so. But I think it's a good policy to there will be times, because you're riding against these guys all the time. There shall be times when, I've had times where I hadn't taken enough water and you need water, or there's a million little things that go on.
Mm-hmm. No, it's all that silent communication, non-verbal communication, things that build up in a group that are so important that people, when they're watching it on television, have no idea about. Yeah,
if you want to get an idea of what it's like, sometimes the best way is those like handlebar mounted cameras you'll have on someone who's a sprinter in a Grand Tour, and that's on a whole completely different scale to what we're doing. But it's interesting because when you get a helicopter view, say, of a sprint, it sort of looks, you of course, naturally, you can't really get a feeling for what it sounds like and the communication that people are doing and talking to each other. But when you get, because it's like 500 meters up, but in the handlebar one, it's much more intense, and you can hear guys shouting in all different languages and stuff like that, and that's all just an effort to make it safe and communicate what they're doing and things like that. It's not shouting in a bad way, or it could sometimes be shouting in a bad way too. So I'd recommend people go and watch those sort of cameras. Grand Tours, it's very intense. You can hear it's very loud in the group, because people are shouting because the bike's freewheeling, as wind, and it's much more of an idea of what it's really like in the group, and all of that's fine. But you see crashes happen sometimes from a camera, from a helicopter or something, and you can't really understand why someone rode into some piece of street furniture or something when they did. But when you go down and you're on the handlebar, then you really realize pretty quickly, that's because you just can't see. There's just all these people there, and if guys mow into something, you just don't have anywhere to go. Or you're so on the rivet and street furniture's like badly placed or something like that, or there's guys have just got their head down and they're trying to be aero. There could be a million things.
Street furniture is a good one.
Any other things from the car that stood out to you in this race?
No, it was just remarkable, given the bad weather, that people did as well as they could. There was no one being silly, no one taking unnecessary risks. There's good communication with the commentators. We all kept. There was a little bit of a concern because the race course was only, I think it was 17 kilometers a lap, sort of thing. Is that about right?
Yeah. What about it?
Well, we were concerned that A grade, your grade, might have actually caught up with the lowest grade.
Category 4, yeah. No, we
Yeah,
didn't.
grade 4. And so the commissaries were doing a great job in trying, keeping time checks on where everyone was hitting certain points and things like that to make sure the race wasn't getting too squashed or too close. The people there in the area were all coming out supporting, even though it was pouring with rain. That was nice to see.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was nice to see some of the kids out there waving and things like that. So even though it was a miserable day and, definitely not something you want to stand around and watch for in the rain for, blowing and cold and all that kind of stuff. It was really nice seeing how many people did actually do that and just show that support. And everyone afterwards was really lovely with each other. And there's a couple of people who threw drink bottles and jackets off mid-race, and a few of them I picked up, a few of them other people picked up, and just really appreciative that we had actually gone and done that, and they got their gear back.
Yeah.
So,
and speaking of building up goodwill, you do that because you always bring Cokes and cookies and all that stuff and drive the car.
That's just part of the team.
Yeah, but everyone really appreciates it. No, it's not part of it. Some people don't do that. Most people don't do that. But,
well, like I said, West Coast, North Island, they had beers, so I'm still failing on something. But I did put the offer out. No one accepted it this time
really?
around.
Oh,
but,
I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
I didn't read that WhatsApp message. All right.
Oh, well, that's your fault.
Sorry.
No, I totally did. I said, put your snack requests in, and they shall be delivered. But
good job.
It was the request of Cokes. And actually, one thing which was really interesting is a lot of people go, what should you be eating after a race like that? What is bad food, good food, those kinds of things. And
we can talk briefly about that if you like.
Oh, well, I mean, that might be something for next time, actually. I was thinking that would be quite interesting. Next weekend's event, though, could be quite interesting. That's a family-focused event.
Well, let's talk about that. So next weekend we have the
Martinborough Fun Ride.
The Martinborough Fun Ride, which I haven't done for a minute, but it starts in Martinborough and heads out to Longbush Road. The long course goes up to Masterton and back and does a couple of laps of that. The short course goes up Millers Road to shorten that part of the to shorten one part of it on the second lap around. But the features that you want to think about in this course, if you haven't done it or you don't know, there's kind of two main ones. The section of Longbush Road, it's got in the there's hills here. I'm just circling it with my cursor. There's a lot of attacks go on there, and it's just rollers really, sort of 1 minute. Not very steep and things, but quite a lot of action goes on there. And there's one near the end where you really want to keep on the river over the crest, because a lot of people put in a big effort, and then because it goes downhill then and it can stretch out, and then when it stretches out, the distance is bigger, and it can kind of like people can get away there, especially if it's a bit windy. So just really make an effort to stay on the wheel on the hills, even though you sort of like feel it there at the top and you feel like you're a bit hammered. Keep it up. And then for the shorter course guys, I guess, there's Millers Road, which is just after that. You turn left after that series of hills, and then you pretty much can see it straight away. It's a climb of, I don't know, say 3 or 4 minutes or something like that. Medium steep on that, not very steep. Although there's a steeper side, but it's not much more than about 5 or 6%, I don't think, and it's relatively short climb. That's a big feature though, because of course there's no other really major climbs on the course. So again, stay on it. This one that's got a long crest as well, and then you're down onto whatever that is, Punitahi Road. That's usually fast, slightly downhill. It's a fun part because it's usually got a prevailing northerly, so it's a head tailwind up there. And you do a couple of laps of that. So, but it is a fun ride. So what I was trying to say to you today was, a lot of guys treat it pretty seriously, and they just treat it like a race like anything else. But you can go along and just putz around it. It's totally fine. Mm-hmm. Martinborough is a nice place to be this time of year. So so that's this next weekend's race. The club, we should mention. Anything you want to mention about that?
No, you go.
We might go around do a short lap for fun. The only other thing to really mention about races this season is that hopefully if you're watching this, you'll know by now, but you might not know. Change to the Wellington Masters Cycling Club. So that's our club. That's one of the biggest cycling clubs in the region. And as the name would imply, typically only Masters riders, that's 35 and over, or 30 and over for women, could ride. Now, a long time ago, they changed it so that the time trials the club ran could be open to anyone. I think it's probably 16 and over, but whatever. But now this season, because, bike racing being the diminishing like it is, they thought, they would try something, which is to open up all of the races to everyone over 16. So if you, I'll open a tab here, just if that are upcoming and set. This weekend there's nothing because they don't want to clash with the other, the charity race. But next weekend there's a hill climb race up Paekakariki Hill. The next weekend's a bunch ride. So then we've got a graded road race at Featherston. We've got a handicap road race in Upper Hutt. That's the last race before Christmas. Then after Christmas, there's a Wainui Amada graded road race. You've got Masters Games as well there in Round Taranaki at that time. But check this out. Then you've got the Rua, which is an 80-kilometre individual time trial over in the Wairarapa. That's an interesting thing. You've got a graded road race in Gladstone. You've got, this is all through February. Then into March, you've got the short course 18K individual time trial club champs. You've got an awesome event, which is a Masters Club 2-day tour. So that involves, on a Saturday and a Sunday, a prologue, which is a short 8-kilometre time trial, individual time trial. You have to use the same bike you use for the rest of the ride. And then a shorter time trial, a road race on that afternoon, which is usually about 60 Ks. And then on the next day, Sunday, a longer road race, usually about 80 to 100 Ks or something like that. And it's on accumulated time, and there's multiple grades, A through E, and it's a really good fun event. And I would encourage anyone to have a look at that at least and come along if they're not sure. It's really good. Okay, then we've got other graded races at Carrington, just where we were yesterday. Another long course club champs time trial, 40 Ks. The club runs a road race champs before the Nationals, and then we've got Nationals. And then, this isn't really associated with Masters Club necessarily, but you've got the Hope Gibbons team time trial on the scheduled for the 3rd of May by the looks of it. And that has a family history with me. It's called, anyone watching this might wonder, I've mentioned it a few times, but if you're new to it, it's kind of a weird name. It's like Hope Gibbons team time trial. Like, what's that? Hope? What? Well, Hope Gibbons was the name of a dude who's my ancestor. And it's a weird name. But actually, Hope wasn't that weird a name, like in the, I don't know, whenever he was started his company in the 20s or 30s or whatever, maybe 10s. So Gibbons is my mum's side of the family, and Hope was his name. Well, what did Hope Gibbons do? Well, he did two things. Is he created the Colonial Motor Company. That's a series of car dealerships and truck dealerships and stuff around the country. But as a sort of similar venture, he started a cycling importation business. And for someone who's related, I really should know the name, but I can't remember it off the top of my head now. And they went out of business in about late 80s, early 90s sort of thing. But I still remember going to the Hope Gibbons building that's in Courtney Place in Wellington, and they had, all this bike. This is before I was into cycling. They had all this, they bikes there. I think they imported healing bikes or something like that, and all these bike stands and all this stuff. And I didn't know anything about it at the time, but to promote that business back in the early days, started up this Hope Gibbons team time trial, and that's got to have, I'm pretty sure it goes back to the 20s. It's got my name on it a few times, so it's kind of nice. And it's a massive shield because, if you go back to the 20s, it's got each of those little individual trophy, shapes on it, and it's got the names that won on it. So it goes back to 1924 or something, I think. It's got to be one of the craziest, oldest competitions in the country. And I went back to CMC to because I had some things to do with the management there, and they were not interested in knowing anything about it, which was awesome. So, but hey, I'm super glad that we can be involved. Liz and I normally do that in a little tour and for fun at the end of the season, and I can recommend it for you too. So that's always good fun. So there's a history of the Hope Gibbons Team Time Trial. If you wondered where the weird name comes from, that's what it's all about. All right, Liz, what thoughts? That was a bit rambling from me, but I thought it might be interesting for people to know, and people to know these races are all there. Go along to Wellington Masters, wmcc.net.nz, have a look.
Absolutely.
All right, anything you'd like to add?
No, just get out there and start riding. No excuses.
Hell to the year. Well, we'll be there in Mountborough. Hopefully, we'll see you there. Remember to support. We'll put in the comments links to the discounts for Tailwind Nutrition, which is something we'll talk about a little bit next weekend as well.
Because this podcast is brought to you by Tailwind Nutrition.
Certainly is. It's brought to you by PDP, Phoenix Dragon Precision Coaching, pdp.com. Go there and pdpcoaching.com and hit us up, and we can do testing on you, and we can give you programs. That's what we do, and neurological training. So that's what we do with PDP. And I don't know, what else do you want to add? Anything?
No, just get out there. Get moving.
Love it. Double it. All right, get it on. Mahalo. See you on the weekend.